make it happen. You're feeling your best self and you know that you look good. Bye. I don't know. People must just like my face. Thanks guys, I'm gonna take that as a compliment. Hey lovely humans, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is on all things YouTube, what I've learned in the last 6 months since I started my YouTube channel, and then we'll have a little look at monetization as well, as I know it can be a very interesting topic. But yes, I guess like I'm not an expert, obviously, like I'm still very new to this. I'm still a small-time YouTuber, but I just thought it'd be a cool video just to look at what I've learned over the past 6 months and any maybe tips that I have for you guys if this is something you're interested in, but also just be cool to see what I've learned. I'm going to be looking at kind of like 5 main topics. So we're going to start with planning, then identity, setup, communication, and last but not least, post-production. And then we'll have a little look at monetization. If you guys want to see more of that, then keep watching. Okay, so for point number 1, we have planning. Planning, I actually cannot stress enough how important planning is. And no, I'm not saying you need to have your 6 months away video planned. I don't really think personally, well, for my size of YouTuber or someone who's only maybe uploading once a week, planning that far ahead, I don't really think is necessarily necessary. But planning like your schedule, planning your days that you upload is so important. Genuinely don't think I'd still be here if I didn't have a plan. I upload my videos every single Saturday at 11 AM, and then when I'm able to, I also upload a Wednesday vlog video at 6 PM. I still work, so I can't actually always do two videos a week. I genuinely just don't have the time, but if I do, then I do 2. But every single Saturday I post at 11 AM. Obviously there've been times that there's been technical difficulties. I can't do anything about that, but having that plan in place means that you just make it happen. You can't make up an excuse of like, oh, it's fine, I'll do it, yeah, it's grand. But of being like, no, this has to be done by Saturday at 11 AM. Like, I have to make this happen. So set up a schedule for your videos. Do it. The second point within planning that I've really felt like I've learned a lot about over the last 6 months is within kind of like planning my videos. So I'm not saying, again, I'm not talking about like planning for 6 months in advance, because that's just not realistic. Well, at least not for me anyway. But I found that planning my videos to have a mixture between those kind of more viral videos and more kind of videos that are aimed more at your subscribers, aimed at allowing your subscribers to get to know you a little bit better, are really, really important. For example, my most recent haul that I put out about a month ago, it got 56,000 views, which is huge, and it's huge for me. It's like by far my biggest video. And although that's been amazing, I've got loads of new subs from it, so thank you guys, you're welcome. But those kind of videos, if that's all I ever posted, I wouldn't have anything for my subscribers, my already existing subscribers, or even new subscribers to be able to, I guess, see a little bit more about me, see more about different things that I like, different things that I do. So having that mixture between the both is also really important, and also not just constantly just being like, buy this, buy, that whole kind of consumer thing. Having a good mixture between different types of videos so that you can first, like, obviously provide things that your subscribers are enjoying watching, but then also putting out videos that are more likely for people to see your videos, see your channel, and then obviously hopefully subscribe to your channel. So sort of following on from that previous point of very much like having like a plan for the types of videos that you watch, we're going to go into the second section, which is identity. So looking at kind of your channel identity, I found is really important. When I started my channel, like, I was very much like, I knew I wanted to look at fashion, look at mainly fashion really, but obviously look at kind of to degree of like lifestyle and those kind of things as well, but kind of mainly focusing on fashion. And so there's been certain suggestions that Darren has given me over the last 6 months of videos that he thinks I should do, because he enjoys a very certain type of video. He likes fitness videos, he likes camera videos, those kind of things. So he's been like, oh, you should do this like really random cool like challenge video, and I've been like, no, because that just does not suit the kind of identity and style of my channel. The same way, like, if I posted 2 months worth of like fashion videos and then suddenly I came up with like a gaming video, people would be like, what on earth, like, why are you doing a gaming video? That's so random. I think especially when you're a new YouTuber, I found it's very important to try stick to that same kind of area. Like, I have done a few different styles with like in fashion, so I've done some like kind of more challenging videos, I've done some hauls, I've done some styling videos, but overall I've tried to kind of keep it around fashion as much as I could. Obviously it can be hard because you don't also want to just be posting hauls all the time like I mentioned before, but getting an identity for your channel is really important, and trying to stick to that, especially at the beginning, I think is probably definitely a good idea. Okay, so my second kind of point within identity is kind of looking more like self-identity and like value and like the things that you value and being honest about those things. When I was starting, I was kind of like, one thing like I know that I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm always honest with my subscribers, that I'm genuine with them, that I never will say, for example, like offer to promote things that I don't believe in, or whatever it is, like wherever it like takes me within YouTube. So for example, this will sound like really like I'm tooting my own horn, which is really not my intention. It's kind of just using it as an example. But I got an email from a company, a fairly big company. I hadn't heard them personally myself. They offered to send me something out, but in return I had to promote the product. I had never received anything from them before. I never bought anything off them, so I didn't know what their product was going to be like. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not, and so I was just like, look, this sounds amazing. I would love you to send it out to me, but I cannot promise to promote it unless I know it's good. And like if I receive it and it's good, then that's great. I'm happy to promote it for you guys because I'm happy to promote things if I believe that they are good. But if it is not good, I will not promote it. So I sent that email kind of back to them, obviously not exactly like that, but, and they basically came back to me and they're like, okay, that's fine. Well, we're not going to send it to you then. And I was like, that's grand. Obviously it was a loss of opportunity, but I was just not willing to promise to promote something to you guys that I did not know that I liked in the first place. I think especially as a smaller YouTuber, there are a lot of companies that might reach out and kind of offer you something that kind of seems like something cool, because especially at first it's really exciting when someone like jumps out and is like, oh, do you want to be this, or do you want this, or whatever, and it's really easy probably to get sucked into that. Okay, so my section 3 within like kind of the things that I've been learning over the last 6 months is setup as a topic. So setup has quite a lot of different aspects, I'm sure, as you would imagine. But the first one is your camera. So obviously your camera is the thing that's literally filming you. It's the thing that's recording the video. But I had quite a lot of issues with it over the last 6 months, getting the right thing that works for me, that kind of works well, that gives me nice video every single time. So I'll put a little clip here of my first ever video that I did. If you notice, like there are kind of like lines moving up and down through the video constantly. It really annoyed me, but basically I had the wrong camera settings on. I had my frames per second way too high, and so it just was messing up with all the lighting, and it was just a bit of a spazzy show. And then when I got my new camera, I started filming on autofocus quite regularly, and I just had quite a lot of issues with, because I use my hands quite a lot, I had issues with any time I moved, it would start to try to focus on my hand and it would jump away, and then it would focus on this or whatever it was, and I'd have loads of issues with it staying focused. So I've learned over time to use manual focus when I do my sit down videos, which has worked so well because it keeps the focus on my face and it just works amazingly. So that is definitely something I would kind of encourage, like learning how to use your camera, and just knowing the tips and tricks like for your camera and what works best for you for doing the kind of videos that you do is a really, really important thing to do. So my second kind of point within setup is lighting. So I found that lighting has been really, really crucial especially for my style of videos, and is one of the things I have kind of found a bit more tricky. As I mentioned obviously in the last point I should say, my first video, the lighting was fine most of the time. Obviously we had the issue with like the moving lines, which actually wasn't to do with the lighting, it was more to do with my camera settings. But the lighting I had a little bit issue with, because there were times where I'd bring something forward to the camera to try get you guys to see what it was, and because of where my light was, it completely shadowed the item and you couldn't really see. Whereas now obviously I have it on manual focus, so it's not going to focus on my hand, but when I go like this, if I was showing you something, you'd be able to see what it was, because the lighting is still perfect on it, no matter which way I hold it. I find that like I put my light fairly directly in front of me, but at quite a high level. So you can see there, if I hold my hands up there, it's shadowing my face. But there, it is perfectly lighting on my face. I usually kind of put it a little bit kind of further away. So I just have a fairly standard box light. My brother got it from me. I'm pretty sure it's kind of from a company called Releno. I will try find it. I'll ask him what it was and I will link it there for you guys so you can see what it is. I'm pretty sure it was fairly affordable. You don't need anything mad fancy. It's really not necessary. But it being a little bit further away, I feel like it makes it a little bit more natural, as I don't personally have a place in my house that has really good window lighting that has a nice backdrop. So I prefer to use a kind of studio light. So another part of lighting that I also add is I actually put a lamp in beside me here. This, you might notice here, you can kind of see the shadowing my hands causing. There's a little bit of a warmer light that comes in. So it's really subtle, it's really not that obvious. Obviously in other videos I think it's maybe a little bit more obvious at times, but I just literally put my lamp right beside me and it kind of shines up onto my curtain, and it just kind of adds like a slightly different kind of dynamic, a little bit of warmth, because without it, it can look a little bit more white and kind of harsh. So I'm actually going to switch off my light for you so you guys can see what it looks like without it. So you can see it's obviously still very nicely lit, like my face still looks perfectly lit and everything, but it's just a little bit more cold or something. So I really like having that light on just to have that little bit more of a warmth and a warm feel. Okay, so the next kind of point within a setup is like actually setting up your shot. So setting up what this shot that you're seeing right now looks like. So I personally have this kind of as my most regular backdrop now. I did move around a few places at the beginning just to get a feel, because in reality, like you don't just know what the perfect setup is going to be like the first time you try it. You don't know where the best kind of feel is, where it's the most comfortable, where the lighting's good, whatever it is. But I've kind of found that having a similar spot most times, it does work quite well, and people kind of like to have somewhere that they know and they feel like they can go back to. Obviously there are times where I kind of change it up, like I did a Q&A a couple weeks ago and I wanted to be really casual and relaxed, so I did a much more casual, relaxed setup, whereas this is my usual one. Obviously I usually kind of cut it for like a chatty video like this, I usually kind of cut it around there and like have a little bit of extra space above my head, which I feel like works quite nicely. I'm usually kind of off to the side slightly because the whole like rule of thirds, it makes it apparently just look a little bit better, which I would agree with. Why, I don't know, but it's just how it is. I also quite like sitting a little bit away from the wall or from whatever's behind me, so that there's that like nice depth of field, which means that basically the things behind you are a little bit less in focus, which mean that you kind of stand out a little bit more in the shot. Also, obviously, like my shot, I go for a very neutral kind of simple vibe. As you can see, like it's very neutral, very little color going on, which is very much like the vibe that I like and the kind of person I am. And so having your background and your kind of style of your shot very much suit what you like is important. I personally have found like over time that a more simple backdrop is definitely the way to go. Setting it up so there's a little bit of something to kind of like add a bit of depth, add a bit of texture to it, but something that's simple and classic is a really good way to go. Okay, so like the last one within kind of like setup is actually how like you set yourself up. That's with your makeup, your hair, your clothes, all those kind of things. I've personally found over kind of the last 6 months is that I film my best videos, or the videos that I personally like the most. That doesn't necessarily mean you guys like the most, but the videos that I personally like myself in the most are those videos where I was firstly wearing something I felt comfortable in. So it's not like something that's got a really deep V that my like boobs are gonna fall out, or something that's digging into my side, or whatever it is. Something like that. I personally feel the most comfortable when I have a little bit of makeup on, so that I look at my videos and I'm like, oh, I look put together, I look pretty, I've made a bit of effort. I like when I've done my hair, whether like it doesn't have to be that I've spent 3 hours doing my hair, but I like that I've done it so that it looks kind of like it's had a little bit of effort put onto it. But maybe you're someone who hates wearing makeup and hates doing your hair, and so then don't do that, because then you're going to feel uncomfortable with your hair and makeup done. Does that make sense? So I feel like that's something I've definitely learned, is just doing something that like makes you feel comfortable, so when you sit in front of the camera you're feeling your best self and you know that you look good. So for point number 4, we are looking at communication. So this one may seem obvious, because let's be real, like basically as a YouTuber, that's kind of what you do the whole time. You're communicating, you're talking, you're showing things, you're communicating something the whole time. All the videos you guys see is me in some way communicating with you. So that's why it's kind of funny that it's actually something that can be really difficult, and I definitely found hard, and I've definitely like got a long way to go, but I do feel like over time you do just learn to be better at talking to a camera. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that just takes time. Like it's not one of those things that you just can magically be good at. Obviously some people are naturally just better at it than others. There's just that natural kind of like tendency just to be able to talk and not have the feeling of awkwardness or whatever it is. The more I've done it, the more natural I feel doing it, the less awkward I get. But in reality, it is just kind of weird. It's basically like talking to myself, except obviously I know that I'm talking to you guys, which makes it a lot easier for sure. Another thing I realized I also do that I've actually done right from the beginning when it comes to kind of communicating and feeling like comfortable in front of the camera is I actually press record quite a long time before I actually start filming my video. So like a lot of the time I'll put it on and I'll kind of just chat away. I might chat to myself. I might be like, right, I'm talking about this, I'm talking about that, whatever. I might start talking about like, hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, blah 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 blah, or whatever I'm saying. I might kind of do a bit of like a practice, get myself a bit more comfortable, because if you're someone who watches my videos regularly or watches my videos right to the end, firstly, thank you for doing that. It literally means so much to me. But if you're someone who watches them right the way through, you'll notice that towards the end of my videos, I'm a lot more confident, I'm a lot more relaxed. I tend to kind of be a little bit funnier, if I may say so myself, towards the end of my videos, because I've just chilled out a bit. Like I'm not trying to be like so like go 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 go, like get this right, do this kind of thing. I relax, I'm just talking, I'm a bit more in a flow because I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm saying. So yes, I find sometimes though starting that filming before and almost starting prior can really help me, and has really helped me to find myself feeling a little bit more natural when I actually start the video. So then my final point within communication is 100% to be prepared. To be honest, I'm still not particularly good at it. To be prepared for a video, to have kind of like a script to some degree, which I know seems a bit weird. Like, don't worry, I don't have a script for every single video I do. In fact, most videos I do, I don't have a script. Like, and when I say a script, so this video, I have a degree of a script. I have all the points that I wanted to make about communication, about setup, about identity, about planning, whatever it is. Obviously for this kind of video, it's very much more of like an information, I suppose, type of video. So that kind of video is more likely to have a script, but having some sort of kind of planned script to some degree, especially on those videos where you're trying to portray information or you're trying to give off some sort of story, it's really important to have a little bit of preparation done as to what you're going to talk about, because let's be real, most of us can't just start a video and talk about like 10 facts about this or about that. Like, it's just not one of those things that we naturally do very easily, especially when you start talking to camera, because then you start just babbling and doing crazy things like I do very often. You guys will know. So it's one of those things that's definitely helpful, and it's definitely something I've learned is very helpful, especially for me, because I have a tendency to babble, which I'm starting to do now. Topic number 5 is post-production, which I feel like sounds very pretentious or something, but it's kind of like editing, thumbnails, those kind of things. So we might start with thumbnails. So thumbnails are one of those ones that I did not really think about before I started my YouTube channel. When I go into YouTube, if I'm searching for something, what I'm looking at is the thumbnails, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice thumbnail, I'll click on that one. Like, sometimes even before I look at the titles, I'll actually be looking at the thumbnails, because let's be real, most of us look at the pictures, not the words. Am I the only one? Didn't think so. So yes, for that reason, thumbnails are really important, and actually pre-thinking of what thumbnail you want to do is really crucial, because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the filming and recording and editing and stuff, and then you go to upload and you're like, flip, I didn't even make a thumbnail. And having a good thumbnail can be really, really important to whether people click on your video or not. Not gonna lie, I am terrible at this, and I still am, and it's one of those things I've learned that I need to get better at, and I am trying, and I'm gradually getting better. Like, for example, this video, I've thought, oh, what would be a good thumbnail for this? So I'm talking about 6 months what I've learned on YouTube. So of course I'm going to include some sort of a YouTube kind of logo in it. I'm probably going to include getting monetized, because that is something that people like to see, they're interested in, they like to see the dollar, they like to know about those kind of things. So getting monetized with a YouTube sign or something is a really good thumbnail. Then another thing within thumbnails is keeping them quite simple is actually important. Well, for my kind of vibe that I go for, I feel like keeping something simple, not going too crazy with it, actually is a lot more engaging than something that is crazy, but maybe that's just because that's my kind of feel. Also, when it comes to thumbnails, kind of getting some sort of theme. Your general thumbnails should kind of look like they go together. It took me a while to learn that, to actually be like, you know what, I first had a certain vibe and then I slightly changed that, so it's kind of changed over time, but they sort of kind of look like they have the similar colors in them, and I use the same fonting, and those kind of things is really good to like keep your consistency within that kind of area. One of the huge things I've actually learned since I've started YouTube is about shooting to edit. Compared to when I first started recording my videos, I always felt like I had to go and just like film, talk, and just do all of it really quickly, and I couldn't like stop and pause and break. That would actually make my editing process harder. And so actually now, a lot of the time, for example, in this video, I will have done each point, and I might do the point and then take a break, and then I've stopped and it will have cut and it will have gone and then I've started again because I've checked my notes, being like, right, what do I need to say for this section? What do I want to explain? Etc, etc, etc. Which actually then, when I get to the editing process, makes it so much easier because I can just go in and be like, all right, okay, chop there, cool, that's that section. And I'm not trying to like re-edit something that I said that didn't really make sense, or I kind of rambled a bit, and I'm trying to like cut out rambles and those kind of things. Another thing with that is sometimes actually I find re-recording a section is really useful. There's certain sections in this video I have re-recorded because I said it and I was like, oh, that was a bit rambly, or oof, that sounded weird. So then I just redid it because, again, when I get to the editing process, that makes the editing so much easier. Okay, so my next point within post-production is editing. So editing is probably the majority of the post-production, let's be real. But editing is one of those things that I actually have found over the last 6 months that I really, really enjoy doing. Like, I find it quite like fun. So I actually personally just use iMovie. That's just on my Mac. I've had my Mac for I think something like 6 or 7 years at this point. It is an old Mac, and she's still fighting strong, so hopefully she'll keep going. But it has a great iMovie editing software on it, which just comes with it, and it is amazing and it does the job. So I personally don't think, especially for like my style of videos, I don't think you need anything much fancier than that. I think it does everything you really need it to do. So then one of the things I also do is within my editing is I have, you might have noticed at the beginning of my video, I have a little intro, which is just like a little thing, and it goes bop, 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 and it's like Debs Ruth. I made that 6 months ago before I even started my YouTube channel. I have that saved as a video, and I have it in a folder with the same as my end screen. I have insta tags at some points. I have just like the picture of the Debs Ruth in a few different colors. I have all those kind of things, like the visuals that I sometimes use on my channel. I have all of those saved in a folder on my computer, so I don't have to be redoing all that stuff every single time I go to edit a video. So having those things saved so that they're firstly also all the same style, so you're not constantly changing or they're constantly slightly different, those kind of things, so handy, save so much time, and just mean that everything looks consistent and put together. So then the last thing I've actually learned about like kind of the whole editing area over the last 6 months is I quite enjoy like a certain style of editing, which you might have kind of seen me kind of like develop over the last couple of months a little bit more. I really quite enjoy like a zoom in, zoom out kind of thing, like something that kind of, I suppose, brings a little bit more personality maybe to my videos. Like for example, often I'll also put like a little kind of clip at the beginning of my videos before it starts. It could be a couple of clips or a few random kind of like tidbits from the video that I feel like kind of portrays a little bit more personality and kind of shows who I am before it kind of just goes into the standard like, hey, it's Debs. I also do quite a lot of zoom in, zooms out, a little bit of Ken Burns sometimes. I just quite enjoy like the kind of whimsical kind of fun feel that gives. It also kind of keeps like a slightly more increased engagement, I feel, because when something's kind of jumping in and out and there's things happening constantly, even if I'm just literally sitting here, those things can really like keep you engaged. They do take longer, however, so I have learned that if I need to do a video quickly, I need to reduce those things happening. So into the last point of monetization, the juicy stuff you guys have all been excited for. Maybe, I don't know. When it comes to my monetization, for those who don't know, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and my voice just like cracked there, and 4,000 watch time hours within the last year. I actually reached my watch time hours before I reached my subscribers. I'm not sure if that's usual or not, but that was what my experience was. So when it comes to the whole process of getting monetized, once you've reached your kind of minimum requirements, you then can apply for they call it the YouTube Partnership Program. Once you apply, then you have to get an AdSense account. I applied for that on Sunday the 22nd of November, and I got approved on Monday the 23rd of November. It took 1 day, which I was so shocked about because any videos I watched about it before, because I was just so intrigued about the whole process, it had said that it would take at least 2 weeks, if not a month, before any of that would get sorted. So I was expecting it to take yonks. And then I literally, on Monday the 23rd, exactly 6 months after, I started my YouTube channel, which is kind of cool. My monetization like started working and I could monetize my videos, which is pretty crazy. So when it comes to actual monetization, I only just posted a video. Obviously, I only got monetized on Monday and today's Thursday. And I posted a video yesterday and Wednesday, but you don't actually find out what your kind of revenue for a video is until 2 days after. Like, you can only start getting the stats on it, so I won't know until then. So currently the only revenue I can have earned is on previous videos watch hours since I've been monetized, if that makes sense. So I can monetize my videos I made prior to getting monetized, but I can only earn money on the views that I've got since getting monetized, if that makes sense. So currently, you would be happy to know your girl has earned €1.75. Yes, I know, I'm pretty loaded. It's not a lot of money. It's not like I'm suddenly rolling in dough, but it is kind of cool, and it's cool to see that it's something that you can do and you can earn €1.75 on YouTube. I think sometimes just like the novelty of it is what's actually exciting about it. But yes, if you're someone who's getting that way and you're excited about it, then be excited, because it is exciting. That is kind of like the process and how it works for anyone who doesn't know. It is cool and I'm really excited about it, so I really appreciate all you guys' support and for being willing to watch the annoying ads. I appreciate it, so thank you. Guys, that is all of my kind of experience that I have learned and things that I have found out over my 6 months on YouTube and about getting monetized. So I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.